Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of the Perfectly Imperfect series on excellence with Pastor Brandon Mazur. Here we're going to dive into his wisdom on personal growth, emphasizing authenticity, fostering community, and embracing sacrifice. We're going to gain some practical insights for a transformative journey towards a more fulfilling life. Guys, get ready. We're going in. See you in there. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this episode of Technically Sure. I'm Thomas.
I'm Sean.
And, we're in the series Perfectly Imperfect. And this is, I believe, part 7 or 8, whichever one it is. And, yeah, we have another special guest.
Hello! Guess who it is?
Welcome, Brandon.
Hello, guys. It's so good to be with you guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to say right from the outset, I know you want to say something, but I'm going to. I'd like to say from the outset that I believe that I'm your number one fan. And I'm just going to let everybody listening to this know that ahead of time. I think I've listened to every episode. And so I'm so honored to be here with you guys. I love what you're doing. Just as a friend, I want to say from the outset, I'm really proud of you guys for doing this. This takes a lot to get outside your comfort zone and to just be willing to put yourself out there like this. So I'm proud of you guys. I love being here. Let's kick it and have some fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, really appreciate you saying all those things. Yeah. Because I guess you listened to the last couple of episodes, you kind of know where we're going to start off.
Yeah, I do. And I've been dreading this. It's so awkward. It's sweet.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah, we want to give you some exaltations or words of affirmation.
I love that.
And so, we always, we always think about, what's the first things that pop in our head. And I had to sit here for a couple minutes and we're what's the first thing? And one of the things is you say what you mean.
Yeah.
And your yes is yes, your no is no. Great leader and encourager. And that's the thing that I've noticed. And also lift other people, lift others up. And this is particularly something that Josh mentioned in his episode. That you see things in people that they don't see in themselves and exemplify that part of them.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sure you're doing that with more than just Josh, but that was an example he brought up.
Wow, that's so kind, Thomas. Wow, you guys are the best. Wow, thank you so much.
Well, what can I say about my mentor? I can honestly say that he is very kind, strong, funny, inspiration. He's this inspiration to the generation. He is, I would say, a servant of God, and he has a heart for the people, but he also has a heart for God. So he's just doing everything that he should be doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, thanks, Sean. Y'all are making me blush over here. Wow, I'm glad there's no video. No, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I don't know. That's always I don't know why that was the way we decided to start it.
Yeah.
I forget, was it Michaela was the first one we did it with?
It might have been Michaela.
Yeah.
Shout out Michaela. What an episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one for sure.
The anointing in the Mosley family.
Uh-huh. No, I love that you start out that way.
Yeah.
The world needs more of that. Build each other up, encouragement all around it. And I love that.
No,
it's beautiful.
It was just something that popped in our head. And we want to set the episode on a good foot. So start off on a good foot.
Yeah.
Set a nice foundation for it before we dive in.
Yeah, I love that.
And but with that part out of the way, and it was hard to do. But why don't you give a quick 30, 60 quick intro about who you are?
The good old elevator pitch, huh? Okay. Well, I am Brandon Mazur. I love Jesus. I love to serve Jesus. And we know each other from church, Amplified Church, where I serve as one of the pastors. I feel like a floating pastor there, where I just hop from thing to thing to thing. So I don't want to put a specific label on it, because I feel like I hop around. And I love music, I love sports, and I love friends and community. And so things like this, man, they energize me, because I love hanging out with awesome people and doing things like this. I also have a podcast. Yeah, Josh on.
Okay, what's the name of it?
The Who Needs a Name podcast. And, we're just trying to live up to your standard, guys. Okay? We can dream, we can hope. But if you want to, check us out over there. It's a fun time.
Yeah, and we'll post the links to all the socials and platforms in the show notes.
What a guy. I don't even know how to do that. That's impressive.
I don't either.
Sean, does Thomas carry the weight of this?
Absolutely.
I love it. Gotta be honest.
Amen.
He's the Josh to PB&J.
Yeah, Josh carries us. I just kind of show up and talk. He's a real one. He's a total G. I love Josh.
That's the same.
Well, all right. Well, let's dive into the meat of the episode.
Just do it.
Let's dive in. So, this is a series on excellence.
Yeah.
And, we're going to ask this very vague question.
Yeah.
And so, to you, and answer this however you want.
Yeah.
Like, what is excellence?
I love that question. And I also would say, I love all the people who I've listened to on here define that and explain the reasoning for it, because I think there's truth in what every person's saying, and they're defining what excellence is, but there's wisdom and insight to glean from everybody. I think excellence for me, I would first define it as what it's not, and it's not perfection, right?
Yeah.
It's not, because if you view excellence as perfection, you're going to live a performance-based life. And every single thing, your identity, your value, your validation, all becomes a result of, have I succeeded and have I been successful and have I hit every metric and every mark? I don't think that's what excellence is. I think excellence is pursuing with a pure heart, at least if I can bring in like the spiritual end. Okay. Yeah. So spiritual excellence, when we talk excellence within the church or within biblical terms, I really think it is passionately pursuing everything Jesus has called you to pursue with everything that you have. And not perfectly, not without failure, and not without some falls along the way, but it's that mentality that you're going to get back up, you're going to keep chasing after him. And I think that's really, maybe that's not, it's hard to measure, but I think that might be better defined as like the heart of excellence. Yeah. Right? Like, and maybe not so much the byproduct that we would measure and consider, that was done excellently, because you can kind of see those things, feel those things, touch those things. But I think I'm speaking more to the heart of, at least from a believer, what's the heart of excellence? And I think it comes down to, what are your motives? Are you chasing after him? Are you leading other people to him? And are you giving your whole life to that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Really good.
I think it's very similar kind of to what Michaela brought up in her episode about not striving but seeking.
Love that. Yep, 100%. That's my sister-in-law, everybody. So shout out Michaela. The wisdom in her podcast. Oh my gosh, check that out. Paradox and Perspective. So great podcast. But 100%. It's a difference between, I need to work to be good enough, to, I am already good enough because of Jesus, and now my work is a result of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Flipping it on its head. And just getting out of the religious mindset into just walking freely with him.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, like, what is a religious mindset?
Oh, the religious mindset is just, I gotta do enough to be enough. Yeah. Ooh. You know, it's, I gotta strive, I gotta try, I gotta put in effort. And that's why people will walk away from that. Yeah. Because you realize that's never gonna lead you to anything lasting or any success, because you're trying to live up to a standard you can't attain. And that's the whole point of the cross. So then you cheapen the cross of Christ. And not to make this all spiritual. I know this is for everybody. Even if you don't follow Jesus, you can still glean from this. But you cheapen the cross when you say, oh, I need to be good enough. I need to work for excellence. It's like, no. You are who Jesus says you are. Yeah. Now we walk as that. Like, that's all Paul's message. And cut me off, because I like to talk.
This is good.
Cut me off if you need to. But like, that's Paul's message time and time and time again. This is who you are. Do not be conform to the patterns of this world. Yeah. What he's actually saying is, do not be what you are not. But then he says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah. Through Christ, through his thoughts, all that, right? And that word is basically transform. Be who you actually are. So now live into who you are. So I think excellence is flipping this mindset that is, I need to perform, I need to do enough, I need to be enough, to, no, I just need to walk in who I already am, the identity Jesus already has inside of me, and flow in that every single day. And that's the heart of excellence.
So good.
Yeah. Wow, that's like, I said it in Josh's episode, like I said, I think I said it. They know Mike's episode. Oh. They know that about that by now.
I love Mike. I haven't got to hear it yet. Okay.
And like all of you guys, like you say something different, but it all lines up.
Yeah,
it all lines up with each other, which like it tells me, and you guys like it tells me that like Sean and I are in a good circle of people.
Hey, come on.
Because, like, you guys, like, you all have a different take on what excellence is, but it all comes from the same source.
Yeah.
And it all has the same kind of core, like you said, the heart.
Yeah.
And you just have different ways to say it, which I think is awesome because, like, you say it in a different way, it will line up with different people. Different people will understand what Mike said better than understand what Michaela said.
Yeah.
And same with you.
Yeah.
And so, like...
People will probably always understand what Mike says more than what I say. Because that man, brilliant. I love Mike so much. No, I love that man. And I know you have other questions. But just to kind of elaborate a little bit.
Yeah.
I think to build off of that. So if you have that heart, I think that's key. Then the heart produces, right? And so an excellent heart should produce, I believe, some measurable progress in your life, right? So I'm not trying to make it all mystical, all impractical. There are very practical things, but I think you start with that heart.
Yeah.
And then you realize, okay, if I'm really just trying to live into who God has made me to be, and that's the heart.
Yeah.
Then my life should start to produce fruit that falls into alignment with that. And so if I'm not seeing that fruit, I want to get back to the heart of the matter. I want to get back to the root, right? It's something I think Josh mentioned. Right?
Josh said the root.
The root being the cause of the fruit. And so if I'm not seeing the fruit, I want to get back to the root.
Yeah.
And say, okay, why do I not see this? So you should look at the measurables. You should look at the practicals. But they're almost the indicators, not the problem.
Right.
The problem is the heart. Yeah.
No, that's good. And I'm taking notes while you're talking, and I just named the episode "The Heart of Excellence."
The Heart of Excellence. Boom! There we go. There we go.
I was like,
look at Thomas multitasking. Oh my gosh, this man. Love it.
And there's something with growth. I mentioned this pretty much every episode in this series. But I listen to a lot of John Maxwell's podcasts, the leadership podcast, read his books, and I have his leadership Bible right there.
Yep.
Which is great. And
I'm looking at it. He does, in fact. It's confirmed. It's on the table. Okay.
And John Maxwell, a couple of different things that he said about excellence are kind of floating around my mind, but the one that's standing out right now is like excellence is. Sorry, my throat's going all weird.
It happens, man.
Couple things. Excellence is exceeding expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to know what in order to exceed the expectations, you have to know what they are.
Yeah.
So, in the way that you talked about excellence, like, and you say you want to go for what Jesus is calling you to.
Yeah.
So, in this aspect, I don't know. I right off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to ask. And like, what would be, in that case, is there an answer to that question? To like, what are the expectations?
That's a great question. I think yes, and I think it's a spectrum of how practical.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of this might seem ambiguous, but again, getting to the heart, but then also measurables, right? So let's answer it twofold. First off, I think there are some clear metrics we can look at. 1 Corinthians 13, right? If you do everything in your life, you achieve all sorts of things, you attain all the fame, all the glamour, all the glory, but you don't love people in the process, that's not an excellent life. It's a life that missed the mark, right? And so if I can look back on my day and I can say, I checked my to-do list, I did all these things. Yes, I actually have a to-do list that surprises people because I'm not that organized. But if I look back and I say, I did all the things, but I didn't love anybody and I didn't care about anybody and I didn't really shine the light of Christ to anybody, have I really succeeded? Have I really lived that day excellently? I don't think so, right? So I think that's a metric.
Yeah.
I think if we look and you just get in, you mentioned you have this Bible sitting here, right? And you get into the Word and you say, oh my gosh, as a believer, I'm not supposed to gossip about people.
Yeah.
Right? But I realize every single day of my life, in subtle ways, I'm gossiping. Or, oh, my speech is not above reproach. Like little things as you get in God's word, you can say, really, it's laying out for you, hey, this is what a life of excellence looks like. Why? It's a life of sanctification. And it's not, oh, I've arrived. And it's not, oh, I'm not going to mess up. But it is, oh, this is what I get to walk in, and this is what an excellent life looks like. Yeah. Does that make sense? And so I think it is kind of outlined for us. Yeah. Some of it in more practical and some in more kind of intangible ways.
I think that's one thing that people that and I don't mean this to attack anybody. I think it's just like, I used to be like this. Like, if you don't know what the Bible is, like, you don't know that there is, like, and like you just have this, it's just this thing that like religious people use, and like and you don't know what's actually in there. Because I'm working on reading through the whole thing right now. There's things in there I'm like, I was like, and like, especially with this version of with John Maxwell's comments in there, talking about leadership, and like, it's like, wow, I would have never like thought about like Nathan and King David. And like Nathan, who like led David while he was the king, and like what important of a role like we play in each other's lives. And that's, like you said, that's laid out for us in the Bible, and like as he talks about things like the inner circle. That's good. And like it's hard. Like sometimes like you can get like into books like Numbers, and it can be really dry, and you're like, man, okay, I'm done.
It's facts.
But like,
dude, that's my favorite book. No, I'm kidding. I kid.
That's good. Oh yeah. So I guess my question for you would be, how do you laying out excellence in your daily life, but also how are you leading the next generation to excellence?
That's a big two-parter. I like that, Sean. I think that in my own life, and we've talked about this a good bit, and we were actually going to dive into this today, but I try to just develop some disciplines in my life. I think if you want to live a life, again, you have to have the heart of excellence, but then if you want to see the fruit of excellence, you need to develop disciplines in your daily life that you can go back to, and you can say, okay, practically speaking, have I accomplished the things that I'm setting out to? Like you said, you need to have a goal that you're trying to hit, right? Yeah. And so, of course, take that back, make sure it's a healthy goal in line with the heart, all that. But then there is a very practical reality to just go do it. Just go get it done, right? And so I've realized, and I've been so surprised in my life, I've used the excuse so much like, oh, I would, but I don't have time. Yeah. And I realized whenever you just stop telling yourself that, and you actually just say, I have to get this done, how you will make time for what's important, you know? Yeah. And so the amount that you're actually able to accomplish fit in a day is actually kind of mind-blowing. Yeah. If you stay disciplined and you say, so practicals, right? Last year, I started just going to the gym, and I didn't think I could do it because I was like, that's multiple hours a day between driving, getting there, actually working out. I was not in good shape at the time. I was like, it might kill me, you know, like this might be the end of me. But, I just said, okay, you know what? It's important. I'm going to make time. And it's amazing how you're actually, your time is freed up. And then you realize, oh, I'm actually able to do other stuff while I'm at the gym, right? Between sets, I'm able. Yeah. And like, if you use time and steward time well, it's amazing the disciplines you can develop within your day. So I think you need to fall back. Groeschel says, you don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your disciplines, right? And so it's good to dream, but then it's necessary to put disciplines in place to arrive at the dream, right? And so making sure you prioritize the dreams every single day and you walk in this. Yeah. Part 2 of your question.
Let's go.
And I think this is probably not just for next gen, but just how do you teach this in general? One, I'm not perfect at this. So like, I don't want people to look at me. I fall, I make mistakes. But I do think there's something to, first off, just being authentic, right? Owning that up front. Like, I'm not perfect. I will screw up. Being authentic, genuinely caring about others, right? Before people care how much you know, they want to know how much you care, right? So showing them, hey, I care about you. I love you. And then if people are willing, go on a journey with them, right? Hold each other accountable. I've had so many next gen people, like Solomon Cole. Shout out Solomon, right? Yeah.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off podcast. Like, he and I for years we've done Bible journeys together. We've done fitness things together. We've done all sorts of challenges with one another, just holding each other accountable to live and to be all that we're created to be. And it's not in this toxic way that's like, oh, you're not good enough and you need to do this. It's like, no. There's gold in you, right? Like, and let's pull that out. So I think starting with, what do you see in somebody else, right? If you see gold, say the gold.
Yeah.
If you see, hey, this is inside of you, it might feel awkward, you know? I've done this from a stage in the middle of messages where you just stop the message and you're like, hey, I feel like I need to tell you this is inside of you. And it feels really uncomfortable. And I think it's supposed to, but because it pulls you outside of your own head and your own comfort zone. And you're transparent, you're honest, and you say, this is in you. And then you walk with them, you know? What's this mean? And you just start to explore that. Does that answer?
Wow, that was good. Yeah, definitely.
Am I answering too long?
No,
you're good.
Because that countdown is clicking away over there.
Worry,
For those who can't see, which I guess is everyone listening, Thomas has this beautiful countdown on the television for how long I'm allowed to talk, you know? And we're dangerously close. So what else, boys? I'm sorry.
No worries. Don't worry about the countdown.
Well, we'll see. Like, I feel like my phone's okay. We were talking about earlier, like, my phone might die, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
I love it.
If it just stops randomly, that's why. But
where are we at? What percent?
I got 38.
Oh, we're chilling.
It's fine.
The Lord has blessed us. Okay.
Yeah, we started out, what, 43?
Yeah, we're chilling.
Okay. One thing you mentioned earlier, and like you actually, I wrote some things down. And like you already and you actually went into them as you talked about the things that you're doing, and like with Solomon too.
Yeah.
But you mentioned one thing in the first part of your question, that first part of the question that Sean asked, and you mentioned Greg Groeschel's. It's like it was like his rendition of the one saying. 'Cause I've heard so many renditions of that same one, and they're all good. Like the one I've heard the most is, "You don't rise to the occasion; you fall to the level of your training."
Yeah.
And like and I think like it's like the same. It's the same idea. Like whenever you write, like people, that's a lot of things that people say. Like whenever people think like, okay, whenever the hard times come, you'll rise to the occasion. But if you're not already prepared for that, if you're not already prepared before the occasion comes, then you're just going to be able to do what you're already prepared to do.
Wow, that's good. That's really good.
And so like I feel like right now what you're doing, and like something I try to do also, and I feel like everybody should have an aspect of this in their lives, like working on some area of growth in your life, so that like even if you might not need it right now, like it's like concept. I feel like I heard it in a movie, like some kid movie. It's like it's better to have it and not need it than need it and need it and not have it.
Yeah.
And I might be rambling. I think I can ramble a lot, but
I love that.
But like I don't know, man. I think about that a lot. I think about that aspect all the time. Yeah. And it's like that's part of the reason why I'm so gung ho on like personal growth. Yeah. And development, and why this topic even came up. Yeah. Was because like I mentioned this on the podcast, Michaela's episode, but like God just downloaded it into my brain on a Sunday. Yeah. And I was like, while everyone else was worshiping, I was scribbling in my notebook.
I love that.
And I was like writing down like just what excellence is and who God is with excellence, and like it was and I know there's a reason for that, and like this whole thing came out of that one moment. Yeah. It's like the last eight or so episodes. Yeah. And like hopefully it happens again. But like let me go into like there's one question. And this one you can go as personal as you want with this.
Oh boy. So
like with like excellence is continuous growth. That's one thing that I was talking about says also. Sure. And with growth and excellence comes sacrifice. Yeah. And so like what is something that you've had to give up in order to experience growth?
I like that question. I like that a lot. I think for me, and I think it's different for everybody, although this one to a degree I think probably needs to be for everybody, is I had to really stop caring what a lot of people. Yeah. And I think it's really, we become the sum of our friends, right? So the reality is, if you want to continually grow, like you're saying, what does that mean? it also means that everyone may not be on that same journey.
Right. Yeah.
And it might mean that you need to be willing to say, hey, in this season, I'm going to be really picky about whose opinions I care about. Mm-hmm. And so you've hit on this in previous episodes, but I don't know that we've ever really gone super deep, but the idea, you've definitely mentioned this, inner circle, outer circle.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to be really intentional. And this was for me, like in high school of, okay, if I want to grow into everything I believe I'm called to be, which by the way, we never arrive, still growing. Right. And we should, I need to almost, and this is how my brain works, it's weird, I need to almost set up like a board of advisors for my life, right? Where, hey, these select individuals who I know, who I trust, who have been consistent and loyal and faithful, and I respect them, I look up to them, like they can speak into my life, and I'm going to take their opinion really seriously, and I'm going to care a lot. And if you're not one of those people, then it's almost like I want to hear, I want to learn, I want to grow, but it doesn't carry the same authority, right? And the same impact and influence in my life. And so if I am believing, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm called to do, and some ordinary person comes up and they bash it, I don't really care. If one of those people comes up, right, I'll say like Jason, our lead pastor, right, like he'd be in that, right? Yeah. If Jason, and not the people I don't care about, the people I do, right? If he came up and he was like, hey dude, like this isn't good, I'd be like, oh, why? Tell me, right? Like I want to know. But that's hard to do because it means you need to sacrifice caring about everybody's opinion about you. Mm-hmm. And I read this also in a Groeschel book, but he basically writes about how your character matters a lot more than reputation. Yeah. And so many of us, we spend our lives trying to build a reputation. Mm-hmm. In other words, what does everybody think about me? What's my image? What's my perception? What's this person thinking on my Instagram and this person on my TikTok and all of this? And he basically says, if we would focus more on a few people and their voices who will help us build character, we'll be a heck of a lot better off, a heck of a lot healthier, and we'll actually grow into who we're called to be.
No, that's really good. Like that's focusing on the internal versus the external. Yeah. And it's like you do the inside work before, like, and the inside work will come out. Like it will like feel like you don't have to worry about your reputation if you're worrying about your character because your reputation will follow suit. Yeah. Your reputation comes second. Yeah. And I don't know. I say and whenever I don't know what to say next. So,
Sean, did you have something?
Oh man,
you look like you did.
Yeah, I was just pondering on it. I was like thinking about what do you sacrifice, right? And to be excellent, I feel like you have to sacrifice so much that, like, for one, you have to, like, I love what you said, like, you have to worry about, like, nobody's besides your circle's opinion of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think it's, like, you also have to, like, sacrifice, like, how you're going to look to people, but you also sacrifice in your body, like, your pride, your ambition, your things that were not going to help you grow. Like, you're just going to sacrifice all those. So, like, I would say, like, it's good on a practical level. Yeah. What does that look like for a person to just be like, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice my pride, my ego, my ambition so I can, you know, like.
Yeah. Dude, that's a great question. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think Romans 12 says, I think it's Romans 12. Someone can smack talk me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But it says, offer your bodies as living sacrifices. Yeah. In other words, offer everything to God. Sacrifice everything to God. So coming from maybe more of the Christian angle on this, right? When you say what's one thing you have to sacrifice really to walk in excellence, I would say the one thing is everything, right? If you want to walk in kingdom excellence that is not just I want to achieve one particular goal, but excellence that is I want to impact eternity, right? I want to lead people to Him with my whole life. I want to walk every day with Him in intimacy. Really, I guess the answer to your question is not just one thing, it's everything. Yeah. And in that process, what are we? We're then living sacrifices, living the full life God has for us. And so it sounds counterintuitive, but it's really beautiful. We find true life whenever we offer our lives completely to Him. Mm-hmm. And so I would say maybe actually you're spot on, Sean, which is the key to actual excellence is total surrender. Yeah. Total sacrifice, total giving up my will, my goals, my agenda to just, okay, Lord, what do you want to do? You know, how do you want to speak? And you guys know I obsess over this idea of eternity.
Yeah.
Right? If I actually believe in that, and I actually believe that Jesus is who he says that he is, then my goodness, he's worth everything for this little blob of time we have here. You know, like it's here today, gone tomorrow. It's a vapor, you know? But if I can sacrifice to live a life of excellence that leads people to him, that's worth it in the end.
Yeah, that's good. Wow. Like, as I think about it more. Yeah. I'm sorry, I blanked. But
oh, you're good. But, I took you down a little bunny path there. No, I'm sorry.
No, man.
I'm sorry. Threw us off.
Man, that's what we are here for.
No, complete surrender, man. Like, that's one thing. I'm gonna say one thing. That I have some ending questions.
Sure.
Like you mentioned about complete surrender. I think it was in one of Mike's episodes. Part one. I don't remember which part, but
part two,
maybe. But like, we mentioned about like you can't if you're striving or seeking to be as excellent as you can be, but you never actually reach that pinnacle point because like God is excellent. God is excellence.
Yeah.
So like, and with surrendering all those things and trying to completely surrender yourself to God.
Yeah.
Like. For us being such imperfect beings, and this is series called Perfectly Imperfect.
Yeah.
Like, we're imperfect beings, so is it actually possible? Is it possible for us to give literally everything to God, or like or are we just continuously like giving things to God that we realize, and then like, okay, now I have to give this to God, but there's always, so in my mind, I'm always like, man, there's always something to weed out.
Dude, I would agree with that. I think that probably the better way to describe what I mean by that is live with an open-handed posture.
Yeah.
That's like, Lord, I'm all yours. Now, when we get nitty-gritty, what does that look like? We're so complicated.
Yeah.
And that's why sanctification is a thing, which is a fancy word for day by day, I look more and more like Jesus. Why? I identify areas, right? And I'm like, I'll probably look back tomorrow on today and be like, I didn't even realize that at the time, but God, I need to give this to you, right? So it is, you're right. It's both and. It's a decision to say, God, I'm fully yours. And as I see things, I'm going to hand them off to you. But then also understanding, I don't fully know what all those are.
Yeah.
And as I see them, I'm going to hand them off to you. That's beautiful. That's a really good point, dude. That's a really good point.
Thank you. Yeah. It's something like especially for this, hopefully this podcast is reaching more people that, not just people of faith, but also people that, and I like to make sure we expand on things more. Yeah. Because think about it from a perspective of some, like, who I used to be, like, didn't understand anything. It's like, well, if I would have heard that, I'm like, well,
you're like, Brandon's weird. Yeah.
So it's just like, and obviously, it wasn't me trying to come at you or anything. It was just like, let's expand.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I love that. That's really good. No, I love that, man. I think that excellence and walking in excellence is something that we discover more and more every single day.
Right.
And for anybody listening, any belief, no belief, whatever you would say that you are, man, you can still choose every single day that, hey, I want to, continually improve, continually grow, set those disciplines, develop who you are, have good voices in your life. Like, a lot of this is still 100% at play.
Yeah. And that's one thing I hope like people that are listening right now have understood so far. And throughout this whole series, that everything, even though every person like had brought up God and had brought up faith, and God always comes up in our conversations. Yeah. Like, this is strictly a podcast for everybody. Yeah. And like everything we talk about, even though we bring up God and maybe you don't believe in God, everything we're saying is like Brandon said, practically applicable to your life. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to believe in God for that to be true. Yeah. Yeah. But with that final thing, I have like some final questions, just to wrap it up, and you might know what these questions are. But when it comes to personal growth, what are some of the top resources you could recommend to people?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually didn't prep for this, which I should have, because I've listened to your episodes and I knew this was coming. When it comes to personal growth, man, I think community. I know that's not a physical put it in your hands book or anything, but I think community is so important. If you really want to strive to be more than you currently are, surround yourself with those types of people. And you'll notice you naturally start to become like them. You naturally start to glean things from them. You make each other better. So surround yourself with those types of people. I think a lot of the people we've mentioned, like Groeschel, like John Maxwell, I would just kind of all in all recommend any of their books.
True.
I think those are all solid. I think if you're looking for different resources, this is great. Right? Yeah. This pod right here. This is amazing. And I love you guys. And again, honored to be here. But I think check that out. Craig Groeschel also has a leadership podcast. All those guys who we kind of mentioned. This guy named Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I feel like I have.
He wrote The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. He's got a ton of great resources really as well.
What was his last name?
I think it's Lencioni. But I should have prepped for this. Okay. We can do a quick fact check.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was really awesome. So I think things like that. Get good voices in your life.
Yeah.
And it is that. I was correct.
Cool.
Wow. Sigh of relief.
So I think what you said, it all kind of lines up. Like you said, community, but then it's if the voices are pouring into your life, that voice can be from a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, you want to get those people around you that are actual physical people around you.
Yeah.
But you're not always around those people.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people just learn and glean differently too.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And a lot of people might be very, very. They could be listening to this and given different things in their life that have happened.
Yeah.
They don't want to go out. They don't want to meet people.
Yeah,
They're not in that place. So baby step it.
Yeah.
Right? And start inputting things where you don't need to go out. But you're starting to get connected.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good.
You want to ask the last question, Sean?
Oh, yeah. So, mentor. Who would you like to be on the next episode of our podcast?
I did think about this one, and I feel strongly about it.
Okay.
I'm actually not even sure. You may have recorded with her already. Izzy. Izzy is my nominee. I think Izzy would be brilliant, and she's so fun and so wise, and I love her.
We have talked to her about it.
Okay.
But she's very busy, so she's like maybe sometime next year.
Izzy, let me put some pressure on, sis. Okay? It's a fun time. You guys can make it so she walks in, records, walks out.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
We're just going to have to do it at church.
30 minutes. 30 minutes. Izzy, they'll pay ya. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No, she'll say yes. She'd be amazing. Either way, we love you, Izzy.
But no, that's awesome.
That's great.
Well, man, thank you for being on the podcast, Brandon.
This was a true honor.
This was great. It was a lot of fun. And guys, I hope you liked this episode. Thank you for listening to the whole thing.
Make sure you give us 5 stars.
5 stars only.
Yes.
5-star review. You heard me say it before. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Come on. There you go.
And there's you share it out on all your socials. Whatever you can do. If you guys haven't already subscribed and you're listening to some episodes, definitely subscribe, follow, whatever it is on whatever platform you're on. And
subscribe to Who Needs a Name with PB&J.
There we go.
Thank you. I love you guys, and I'm really proud of you. And it was an honor to do this. You're amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And save Josh. #save Josh. We don't want to get shot with the Nerf gun.
What? That was so random.
And cut.
Yep. All right, guys. See you next time.